Oh, I think you probably start before the physical stuff. I mean, we've had to assess in very fine detail what we did well, what we did poorly, and then setting about a way forward so that we can remedy those challenges that confront us now. But we have had a fairly confronting week, both mentally and physically, and we had the gloves out on Tuesday, and the boys did some confrontational training and came through that and trained exceptionally well. So we're very clear as to the areas we've got to fix up. But talk's cheap. I mean, we can talk about that all we want. We're very clear as to what we need to do, and we set about that process on Monday, and we'll continue today.
So are you more confident now that if the Saints are up, a couple of goals, a couple of minutes to go sort of thing, you're confident that you're in a better place now than you have been?
Yeah, of course we are, because I mean you've got options in terms of hiding away and hoping you don't get in those situations again. I mean, you want to be a good side. When the good sides play each other, they're generally close games. So I welcome the opportunity to play in those games, and it was a devastating loss. There's no shying away from that, and we haven't stuck our heads in the sand and tried to pretend it didn't happen and lay blame at the feet of other people. I mean, blame lays fairly and squarely with me, and I've got to make sure that the players know what to do in that situation. And we've drilled it over a long period of time, but clearly we have lapses when it's important. So we'll keep drilling that, and I know the character of our players, that they'll bounce back. They have in the past, they will again, and I've got no doubt what the response will be this Sunday.
Your words in the post-match after were super strong. You really put it all on the players and such. Do you stand by what you said, or do you look back and read the paper the next day and think, I probably regret a bit, I went a bit too hard?
Do you think I went too hard?
It's not my opinion to say.
Plenty of people in the media have their opinion. But look, in terms of I've been a believer in, I'm a massive supporter of our players because I've got a lot of respect for them, and I know that the type of characters they are. But reality is what it is. I mean, we're in a position, when we played ourselves in a position to win that game very comfortably. Now we didn't finish the job. So questions, quite rightly, should be asked, and my firm belief is that you don't hide away from anything. We've got an outstanding example in our club of a player in Lindsay Thomas who faced some horrible mental demons, and his first step was to own up and say, I've got an issue, I've got something I've got to fix, I've got a massive challenge in front of me, but I'm up for the challenge. Now, there's no point in me sugarcoating things and saying we don't have a challenge, because clearly we do, and we've got to stand up to that, own up to it, lay ourselves bare, and then go about remedying it. And the players' response so far this week's been outstanding, and I'm sure they'll follow that through on Sunday.
In terms of replacing Jack Siebel, Jordan Gisbert seems to be in good form. Is he at all going to be a victim of timing, considering his last game was on Tuesday night? No,
we managed game time of all the players that we felt were in the mix for this weekend. So all of those, Taylor Hine, Will Sierakowski, Levi Greenwood, we kept out of the side to freshen him up. And certainly Jordan Gisbert will be available for selection.
And you mentioned sort of Levi. I think he's consistent former in VFL. He's shown occasionally prolific at senior level.
Yep.
Played seniors, hasn't played since round 12 last year. Where's he at the moment?
Yeah, well, Levi's had a couple of niggly injuries last year, which really interrupted his season. And we've seen the emergence of Ben Cunnington and some other midfielders that have just kept him out of a spot. But that's been a good position for our club to be in. But we know that when Levi gets his opportunity, he'll take it, and he's the ultimate competitor, and he'll certainly be in consideration for this week.
And just the other midfielder, Liam Anthony, I think he was second or third best for North Ballarat on the weekend. Is the reason he out of the team still defensive pressure, like has it been in the past? No,
the reason he's out of the side is because there are other players ahead of him right now who are playing their roles really well. But what Jack's suspension does is give those players an opportunity, and we'll play the player that's in the best form and can play a role for us on the weekend to help us win.
Even on the way here now, still debate on the radio about Jack and how you approach it, whether you tell him to curb it or is that taking away his greatest asset. What's your thoughts on it?
No, I thought, look, Boomer summarised everything pretty well in terms of the way Jack plays. We recruited him for basically, that was the number one reason we recruited him, because he's a fierce competitor. He has an unbelievable attack on the ball when it's there to be won, and he has a great attack on the opposition when they've got it. That being said, what we have to do is we have to make sure that Boomer's out there playing for us. Now, you can debate the rules, the match review panel adjudicate things as they see it. Now, that'll be reassessed at the end of the year, and I'm sure the AFL will have a really good look at that process and how it's conducted and how we adjudicate those decisions, because clearly it's a very tough job and there are a lot of inconsistencies at the moment. But that to me is irrelevant. What I've got to do is coach Jack to make sure that he still attacks the contest with ferocity, he attacks the opposition with the ball with ferocity, but he's out there playing for us each week, because we can't have him sitting on the sidelines for 3 weeks at a time.
Does he understand? Is he accepting, or is he just curious?
No, he's not happy, but he's not happy because he's not playing. I mean, he feels that he did what was acceptable within the rules. The match review panel disagreed. So we're not going to smack our head against a brick wall and argue that they're wrong and we're right and have Jack sitting on the sidelines repeatedly. So I'll go away and work with him on that, and I'm sure that we can make some adjustments to the way he attacks that situation. But we'll never take away his attack on the contest, because that's the fundamental of football. You talk about what's AFL footy about, it's about contested style of football where players attack the ball with ferocity, and Jack Zeebel's a leader in the competition in that.
Send him to Utah at all? Or you
No, I don't think so. I think we're confident that Jack can get the training load he needs right here, but more importantly, he's the vice captain of our club, and along with Drew Petrie and Andrew Swallow as our designated leaders, we need them to be around the players right now to lead the way.
Beyond a replacement for Jack, Brad, are there likely to be many changes this week?
Oh, we've certainly got a lot of options and some things that we've got to look at, and the way we match up against St Kilda. But we're in a fortunate situation where we've got a lot of players, as you mentioned earlier, who are in form and who can come into our side and play a role for us. So we've started the match committee process, but we're far from finished.
You lost 4 in a row to St Kilda until last year. Are you now sort of at the stage of respective development where you should be consistently beating them in matches like this weekend?
Oh, should, could, would. I mean, I don't really care about any of that. I mean, St Kilda in 2010 were a very experienced, dominant football side, and they gave us a really hard time. Now we're maturing, and St Kilda, have still got a really good quality midfield with a lot of depth through there. So we know what they're capable of. We've just got to make sure that we go out and play our brand of footy and make sure that we continue to do all the things we're doing really well, and because there is a number of those things, and tidy up some costly lapses which are basic, and we know we can fix instantly, but we've got to drill it really well.
Sorry, how's Mad Jack's confidence? Obviously, it must be such the ebbs and flows of footy he's certainly felt over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's doing pretty much what you would have what we would have foreseen, and it's one of the reasons why we've held off bringing him in until this point, because he's he's an inexperienced player. He's still learning the game. He's going to do some things really, really well, and he's going to struggle at other times. Now, that's no surprise to us. So the process doesn't change with Madge. We've just got to keep working on his game and getting him better till he's a really consistent AFL player. But I think what he's shown over the last 4 or 5 weeks is that he's got the capability to get there, and we've just got to persist with him. So, we'll keep picking the side that we think is going to give us the best chance to win on the weekend, but we'll keep working with him on the training track and also in game to improve his consistency.
Does he need to go back to the VFL at some stage, Brad, if he keeps being quiet?
Oh, I think there's a point for everyone where but I mean, Mad Jack's development doesn't come at the team's expense. So we'll make sure we pick the team that's going to help us win. Now, if Madge is contributing that, he'll keep playing. If he needs to go back to the VFL to work on the development of his game, he'll do that. But there's no striking the balance between helping Mad Jack and to the detriment of the team. We'll make sure we're doing the best thing by the North Melbourne Football Club.
And what's the latest on Robbie Tarrant's injury?
Yeah, we think that Robbie is still at least a couple of weeks away. It's a really frustrating injury for him because he's able to do most things, but it's still not right, and there's risk of further damage if we play him. So we're not going to put him at risk until we're absolutely confident he's right. So we probably wouldn't expect to see him for the next couple of weeks.
And likely to return via the VFL?
I think he probably just about has to now. It's been too long out to rush him straight back in. Now he needs to get some significant work out on the track before we even look at playing at VFL level. So we've got a buy in there as well. So we're pretty confident that he'll be back pretty soon after the bye.
Nick Rievelt's been a champion for a long time, but given his, I guess, nagging knee problems, were you surprised that you sort of seen a level of renaissance this year from him?
No, because he's a thorough professional the way he prepares himself. His work rate is just back to his very best, and he's the number one forward in the competition right now. I mean, there's no doubt about that. On every measure, he comes out number one. So he's working really hard. He's really carrying their forward line to a certain extent, and he's given us a bit of grief in the past. So we'll certainly spend a lot of time working out how to combat him, because he's a great player.
Can you give some insight into the role of the milestone men this week? Have you done the videos, or have they addressed the group, or family members been in? How does that kind of work?
No, I think for North Melbourne it's a given. I mean, we treat these games really seriously. We like to honour our champions, and in this case two out and out champions of our football club. And that's another reason Jack's devastated he can't play in it. The boys want to get out and honour these boys in the right fashion. And that being said, we really look to Boomer and Wellesley to lead us as well, and they are terrific leaders in their own right. So it's a critical game for the club. It's a really important game to honour our champions, and we need our fans to get out and support us, because really that's what North Melbourne supporters are. They're great supporters, and that's what we need right now. We need support.
You last year, from memory, maybe something like 11 of the last 14 to get into the 8. Does that give you any sort of confidence, or is that so far off the radar?
No. I mean, it doesn't hold any relevance to me, really. I mean, what we've got to do is keep focusing on the facts that are put before us, and we've got to, as I said earlier, we've got to lay ourselves bare and work on the things that are costing us, and keep reinforcing the things we're doing really well. And when you do that consistently, as we were in this situation this time last year, that's exactly what we did, and we were able to get the results from that. So we'll be focusing on the facts.
Some of the lapses against the Crows, Brad, came from the senior blokes. Is that more disappointing than coming from the young guys?
Yeah, but I think it just proves that you never stop learning. You never stop. You're always going to make mistakes, and it's a true test of anyone's character is how they come back from those mistakes and what they do about it. Now, the best players in the competition regularly and routinely make errors. Ours happened to be at the late stages in the game when we had very specific instructions for what we needed to do, and we weren't able to carry that out. So that responsibility lies with me, and for the senior players, I need them to help me drive it.